Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to play a narrative scenario using 9e lore and rules. If that's not to your liking, then thank you for tuning in, but it's now time for you to visit a void dragon petting zoo. So let's build the narrative of this campaign called Tomb World.
That man is beset at all quarters by traitors, mutants and fiends is self-evident. But in truth, none of these evils shall be our undoing. When the end comes, it will not be at the hand of any mortal being of this or any other realm. Death will come at the hands of the ancients, those who determined our fate eons before we stood erect upon this tomb world and gazed up into the starry night.
It is only recently that the Necrons have started to awaken from their millennia-long sleep on the planet and to prey upon the Ultramarines. Until then, their only contact with these ancient beings on this tomb world was faint energy signatures suggesting the Necrons remain dormant. Hamstrung by a total lack of knowledge about pylons, rogue trader warrants of free exploration were revoked at the behest of Primarch Guilliman, until a means of safe passage was found through the Great Bleed. Rogue traders like Octarus Erden were particularly resentful, as it was specified within the edict that they themselves would not receive the exploitation rights they normally enjoy over the regions they freely explore. If an alien tomb world predating the evolution of humanity was discovered, the rogue trader must report the planet's location within the Great Bleed immediately to the Imperial Navy. Any attempt by the trader to set foot on the planet is punished by the Inquisition, eliminating the trader and their noble houses' warrant to maintain their wealth and influence. Rumours from rogue traders and their crews said Mechanicus tech priests were attempting to retrofit Necron pylon technology within the machine spirit of Astartes battle barges. Rogue trader guilds said over secure channels between ships that accusations of heresy by ecclesiastical officials were censored to death. The Inquisition unanimously concluded safe travel through the Great Bleed to sew the Imperium back together again would be impossible without Necron technology. Despite the personal risk of death and ruin for their noble house, rogue trader Octarus Erden reported the location of a verdant tomb world emanating Necron energy signatures consistent with those measured on Cadia before the Fortress World's destruction. His scans also revealed ancient sites predating the Necrontire's flesh change. Believing untold knowledge and wealth lay within the ruins, rogue trader Octarus Erden ordered his ship to follow Guilliman's edict, while he and his retinue, in an undetectable transporter known simply as the Captain's Yacht, landed on the planet. A xenoanthropologist in his spare time, the artefacts Erden found hinted at a powerful race that ruled the planet long before humanity had crawled from the primordial soup that gave them birth. Most terrifying of these artefacts was the tomb. He discovered the tomb's entrance within what he considered the best preserved ruins of the Necrontire race before their ascension from flesh to machine. Unfortunately, rogue trader Octarus Erden and his retinue were never heard from again. As soon as they began to explore the Necrontire ruins, that inevitably led them to the tombs of the dormant Necrons that lie beneath the planet's verdant lands. When the Ultramarines arrived to search and destroy the hibernating Necron tomb to seize working pylon technology, little did they know that the Necrons were waiting for them. After a few initial skirmishes, Ultramarine infiltrators discovered the fate of the rogue trader, who had activated the tomb's reanimation protocols. Scrawled on the walls of a pit alongside his skeletal remains were rogue trader Actaras Erden's last words. A fortune in priceless technology, and yet I would almost trade it all for a grapnel or a good length of rope.
We never yield. You must be steel. You must be doom. You must use everything you've got. Close in. No more drills. No more practice. You are about to receive the honor of going into combat for the first time as Ultramarines.
You shall make your battle pledges upon this hallowed weapon as fought in the hands of our greatest veterans. It has slain alien beasts and demons alike. One day you may be worthy enough to wield it. Until then, you may kneel before it.
We march for Macragge! And we shall know no fear!
I will serve the golden throne of terror. For the wings of Aquila will shield me. For the Emperor protects.
The Finnic Confederacy unified the spacefaring Necron colonies from Homeworld before their flesh change. Even though the dynasty's power and influence wasn't long-lived, the Finnic royal court was the precursor to the dominant Necron dynasties of the 41st millennium intent on reclaiming the galaxy. The Finnic royal court are vassals, their tombs situated on minor worlds of no significant importance to the Necron dynasties they now serve. Their past achievements remain a binary footnote to those who have the capacity to remember them. Indeed, there are those that say evidence points to the Finnic Confederacy having a hand in the creation of the human race, for reasons almost too horrible to contemplate. The dynasty is mentioned in Old Earth's ancient history, the first rulers of the Egyptire. Was their alien appearance really the result of incest? Or were they subjects of alien rulers? If these heretical scholars of the Inquisition are to be believed, then humankind were nothing but cattle bred for one purpose: to feed the abominable appetites of the Catan, perhaps to save the Necron from the flesh change. The mission's a really easy one to understand. The Ultramarines need to capture the Necron constructs in front of them here and at the back there where the Necrons are deployed. So they need to march forward in order to take these Necron constructs, to head towards the actual tomb itself, to destroy it and take the technology that they need in order for them to travel through the Great Bleed without suffering from the effects of the warp using pylon technology. So I'm not going to use rapid redeployment here because it seems to me that that would be a backward step for the Ultramarines. Yes, the chances are that these units are going to take some damage. They might even be destroyed. But because they're Ultramarines, they will be able to fall back and shoot. Remember, the rogue trader who landed on this planet without permission has activated this tomb world when looking for Necron technology to sell on the black market. And in doing so, the Ultramarines have deployed here thinking that the tomb world is dormant, and unfortunately for them, they've been ambushed by a wave of living metal. So the Necrons are going to take the first turn. For them, the mission is simple: annihilate the enemy. For them to win this battle, there cannot be any Ultramarines left. The Finnic dynasty, yes, certainly is not a powerful one anymore. Lost all its influence before the flesh change, opposed the flesh change because they could see what was happening to their kin, but were forced to undertake it by the Silent King, and in doing so lost their stature within his royal court. They simply do not want to be discovered by the other Necrons. They want to preserve their royal court in secrecy, and in doing so, they will then be able to return to their slumber as long as their world isn't polluted by imperial modernity. So, let's go into the first turn. Lord Nama, in the command phase, the first king of the Necron, has used Thy will be done to give these Necron warriors +1 to hit. My intention is they're going to use that to try and eliminate, with rapid fire weapons, these eliminators. Using Relentless March in the movement phase, he's also ordered them to get moving as fast as they can, to get as close as possible, so that their rapid fire weaponry can be used to a maximum effect. The animation beams are in play here and here. The command protocol Southern Storm is in play, and the arching energies which are leaping from unit to unit, you'll have to imagine that, enable them to move an extra inch forward, which is really, really important, because I need the Necrons to encircle the Ultramarines. Much better to take the middle ground early and say to the Ultramarines, you know what, if you can smash through our living metal, then fine, make your way to our tomb. But we're going to stop you. We're going to annihilate you before you even get there. The majority of the Necrons are mindless automatons, their threat level is very high to the Ultramarines. That's why the intercessors are at the front, to protect some of the tactical assets of the Ultramarines. So if they are charged, they will have the capability of falling back and enabling the bigger weapons to fire. Using Sky of Falling Stars at the end of the movement phase, I'm going to focus on the intercessors here and the Hellblasters, as well as the second squad of intercessors here, to clear them out the way, or clear one of them out the way, possibly with D3 mortal wounds. So savagely beautiful spears of coruscating light are going to fall upon them. If I can get on a D6 less than 5, I'm going to cause D3 mortal wounds to them. Let's see what happens. The intercessor squad, I need less than 5 on the dice. Yep, so it's D3 mortal wounds without dropping a dice, Gary. So causing 3 mortal wounds. That will kill one intercessor and wound another. The Hellblasters, let's see what happens there. Need less than 5 on the dice. No, they are safe. And the final squad of intercessors, let's see what happens. D3 mortal wounds, takes 1 mortal wound. these Necrons have relentlessly marched forwards. With thy will be done. They are going to attempt to eliminate, attempt to exterminate these eliminators just with weight of fire alone. Make the eliminators roll their armor saves. That's the plan of attack here. Just sheer weight of firing. So, the warriors using their Gauls Reapers are going to use Relentless Onslaught to gain some additional hits with exploding sixes. Obviously they have to be unmodified, so thy will be done isn't going to help them there. However, it does give them a +1 to hit. So let's see what happens. Okay, so ones miss. We've got 3 exploding sixes, so we've hit 21 times. It's strength 5 against toughness 4. We need 3s, so let's remove those. So we've wounded them 17 times. They are in cover, so they'll get a +1 on their dice roll. It's -2 AP, so they would need 5s, so they're going to need 4s on the dice. So 17 saves to make, needing 4s due to the +1. So we lose altogether 2 eliminators. The Necron warriors did a fantastic job of exterminating 2 eliminators. We're now going to move on to the Doomstalkers. Looking at line of sight, these 2 Doomstalkers are going to concentrate on firing their cannons at the Redemptor Dreadnoughts respectively, and the final Doomstalker, who's got perfect line of sight, will take on the Warsuit, the Invictus Warsuit. So let's get started. So the Canoptic Doomstalkers are just in range. They get D6, heavy D6. It's at its low strength with their Doomsday Blasters. So the first one at the Redemptor Dreadnought gets 5 hits, 5 possible hits. Needs 4s to hit. 4 of them, fantastic. Needs 3s to wound because it is strength 8, toughness 7. All 4 wound. These are -2. So we need 5 5s on the dice. We save 1, so we can make a possibility of 9 wounds here. So let's see what happens, because it's D3. So 3, 4, 5. 5 wounds taken to that first Redemptor Dreadnought. The first Doomstalker caused 5 wounds to the Redemptor Dreadnought, but we must remember that with Duty Eternal we reduce damage by 1, so the first Redemptor Dreadnought has taken 4 wounds, leaving it on 8. Let's see if the second Doomstalker can be as effective. So heavy D6, 1, I am going to re-roll that. 3 hits, or 3 possible hits. Needs 4s. One hit then. Crikey. Does it wound with a 3? Yes, it does. Does it save with a 5? No, it doesn't. So it's D3 for 1. The Void Dragon has helped the final Doomstalker by causing 3 mortal wounds with one of its own powers, godly powers. I suppose that Doomstalker didn't need to move forward with the rest. However, that didn't feel thematic to me. So it gets D6 hits, 5 hits, 5 possible hits because it's heavy D6. It needs 4s to wound. 4's 2 hits, sorry. Goose. Come on, Gary, get a grip. And then it needs 3's to wound. Wounds once. It's -2. So we need a 5 on the dice. We don't, so it's D3 mortal. D3 wound, sorry. So it causes 3 wounds. So in total, the Invictus Warsuit has lost 6 wounds. If I were the Ultramarines right now, I would be pretty happy that that's all the Necrons were able to deliver in terms of firepower in turn 1. Now I know the Necrons rely on mid-range fire as their optimum range for strength and capability, but I'm rather disappointed. I was hoping thematically in my head that the Necrons would have been able to crush a few more of the Ultramarines. So we now move into the Necrons' charge phase. Now you will remember that these Necron warriors used weight of firepower to eliminate 2 of the eliminators. However, as you can see in the corner, I caused 6 wounds. Now they only have 2 wounds each, so these Necron warriors are not going to be able to charge this eliminator because that eliminator is already dead. Mistakes will be made. Remember the motto of this channel. So we're going to move on. These wraiths here, they're going to try a long charge into those front intercessors. So the Chronoptic wraiths have no penalty to move across cover. They need 11s to charge. Let's see what happens. They make it. Yes. Necrons, as IDK says on his channel. As the Necron commander, you might be thinking, well, that's a bit rash, having a Necron wraith charge that far up the field away from the battle line. However, I want to try and pin the Ultramarines into their own deployment zone. So even if the intercessors survive and come out of combat, those wraiths create a bit of a block on the board and they'll be tricky to move. They have a vulnerable save, multiple wounds, and the Ultramarines will have to deal with them first rather than concentrating on the rest of the wall of living metal before them. I think tactically it would be wise for the Catan Void Dragon not to charge. However, narratively, a Star God, one in which revels in the destruction of war machines and vehicles, wouldn't stand still. So the Void Dragon is going to attempt to charge the Invictus Warsuit. So the Void Dragon wishes to unmake the Invictus war machine in front of him, then possibly sure what pronoun to use. Oh well, let's move on. So we need a 10. We get a 4 and a 3. I'm going to attempt to re-roll that. And the Invictus Warsuit, of course, is going to Overwatch. I would, wouldn't you? Yes! Haha, Necrons! The Wraiths into the Infiltrators. Ideally, I want the Wraiths to encircle the Infiltrators. So I want a really large charge for them. Yep, that will do. Crikey, rolling well on charges today. And the Ophidian Destroyers into the Eliminators. For the Ophidian Destroyers, we're going to need a double-digit charge. I don't think we're going to make it, but let's see what happens. We do with a 12. These Necrons, the Finite Dynasty, clearly do not want their homeworld to be invaded by the Ultramarines, to reveal its location to the wider Necron dynasties. They are isolationists in nature. It's their task to murder what is before them. Due to the length of the charge, only 2 of the Wraiths are in combat with the Intercessors. They need 4s to hit. So 3 hits. So we wound twice. They are -2. So we need 5s on the dice. So 1 saves, 1 doesn't, killing an Intercessor. Void Dragon gets 5 attacks. Using its Spear of the Void Dragon, it's +3 strength, so it's hitting at strength 9. It needs 2s to hit. All of them hit except 1. I'm not going to re-roll that. We now need 3s to wound. Ugh. Better re-roll that one. Crikey. Yes, so these cut straight through, they do, and it's against a vehicle, so the damage is 3 plus D3. So this one here is 6, reducing the Warsuit to 1 wound, and that one there is 2, so 5, so it's taking 11 damage. Does it explode? No, it doesn't. We now have 18 attacks on the Infiltrators. We need 4s to hit. Not great. I suppose it's average. We now need, above average actually, we now need 3s to wound. Okay, and that irons it out a bit, evens it out a bit. There we are. And so that's 5 saves at -2. So the unit could be dead here. So 2 saves made. So 3 of them take 2 damage each, killing 3 Infiltrators. Okay, so the Ophidian Destroyers are going to use their Hyperphase Reap Blade first. So they get 3 attacks each, only 3 of them are in combat. So we need 3s to hit. Not bad. These are +2 strength, so strength 6 against toughness 4. We're going to need 3s. They all wound. Okay, they are at -4 AP, so they're going to cut straight through their armor. They cause 3 damage each, killing that unit. while it looks a little bleak at the moment, I think the Ultramarines have nothing to worry about. They have enough tactical options to bring their superior firepower to bear, and in doing so should be able to eliminate the Wraiths, severely wound the Void Dragon, and move forward towards their objectives. Go into the Ultramarines turn 1, and what we're going to attempt to do is contain the threat posed by the Void Dragon and the Wraiths, but at the same time continue to move forward towards the objectives for the Ultramarines. We are going into the Devastator Doctrine because it's the first turn. I did consider changing that to the Assault Doctrine, but chose not to because I figured they might be dead by the time one of the units of Blade Guard charge into them. Yes, the Intercessors will be falling back out of combat, and they will likely join their brethren here to move forward towards these Necron warriors. So let's get the first turn going for the Ultramarines, who have withstood quite a bit of damage, which you can just see here, just about. So Chaplain Drassus, let's see if Litanies of Hate is recited. It is, resoundingly, enabling any unit in combat within 6 inches of him to re-roll their hit rolls. As you can see from the movement that's just taken place, it's been incredibly difficult for the Ultramarines to maneuver around the Wraiths and the Void Dragon to avoid being in combat with them. I was hoping that the Intercessors and Bikes would get a bit further forward, but unfortunately the Bikes are very much in the way of the Intercessors at the moment. The Ultramarines have found it hard to advance forward without taking a side step due to the Wraith wall in front of them. They are now, however, not in combat with the Void Dragon or the Wraiths, apart from the Infiltrator, who couldn't leave combat because, unfortunately for that Primaris Space Marine, they are very much hemmed in, trapped by, encircled by the Wraiths. Better verb, Gary. So we're going to move into the psychic phase, where you can see Tigerius waiting there, and let's see what happens. Now, we know with the Void Dragon you can only take 3 damage in each phase, so the Ultramarines have got to think carefully and tactically about how they use their assets now, because too much firepower at the Void Dragon will be wasted as soon as 3 damage is done. So might be split firing. That never works out, does it? However, on the right flank, things are a little better. That the heavy Intercessors, the Intercessor Squad and one of the Dreads have managed to move quite far forward to try and combat the tide of Necrons on that side. Smite against the Void Dragon. Goes off with a warp charge of 5. It's D3, causing 2 mortal wounds. He's also going to cast Scryer's Gaze to enable a unit later on in the battle to re-roll either a hit roll, a wound roll, or a damage roll. Let's see, that goes off with a 9. Outrider squad, using their twin bolt rifles, are going to try and thin the ranks of these Necron warriors. They do have bolted discipline, so it's going to be rapid fire for Let's see what happens. So the Outrider squad gets 12 hits because of bolted discipline, or 12 potential hits. We're going to need 3s to hit, 4s to wound. Okay, let's remove the misses. So 9 of hit, 4s to wound because it's strength 4, toughness 4. Okay, so altogether we've got 4 wounds to save. These are -1. So 4, 5 ups. Some Necrons might be falling down. Okay, so 2 fall to the ground at the moment. From the bolter fire of the Outriders, 2 have fallen to the ground. No reanimation rolls yet to make because we have the Invader next, going to try and unleash its firepower on this squad of Necrons. So we'll start with the twin auto bolt rifles. They need 3s to hit. They need 4s to wound. Okay, 2 wounds, 5s to save, 1 save, another 1 falls to the ground, another warrior. So we now go on to the Onslaught Gatling Cannon. Yay! And let's see what that can do. There. Cinematically in my head, it's going to do a lot more damage than I think. So let's see. It's heavy 8, strength 5. Needed 3s to hit. Not bad rolling. So 5 hits so far. Need 3s to wound. Okay. That's a wound. So 4 wounds. These are -1. So we need 5s. Okay, so another 3 fall. So in total 6 have fallen. Moving these Wraiths forward has certainly had an impact on the game already, because the Intercessors were going to use their firepower to support the Outriders in their attempt to reduce these Necron warriors by a significant number. Unfortunately for them and the Invader on the other side of the satellite, which you can just see there, that hasn't happened, and now these Necrons will attempt to make their reanimation roll. Because their number is legion, the warriors can re-roll reanimation rolls of 1, and they get +1 to their dice rolls to do so as well, because of the Canoptech Reanimator. So we need 4s. So in total, so far 3 are standing back up. I've got 3 1s here. I'm going to re-roll those. Statistically, I'm told if you roll a 1 on a dice, use a different dice, you'll get a better result. Got more chance of rolling a 1 again on the same dice, so let's see. So in total, I only lose 2 Necron warriors. As you well know, the Intercessor fire with their bolt rifles would have been much better at the warriors than the Wraiths. We now move on to the Eradicators, who have line of sight at one of the Doomstalkers. 3 melter rifles from the Eradicators at -1 due to the cover between them and the Doomstalker, which you can just see illustrated in the video. Let's see what happens. They need 4s to hit, so they hit 3 times. It's strength 6, strength 8 against toughness 6, so they only need 3s to wound. They wound all 3 of them. Now, of course, we're going to have to use the containment fields, because the power of that melter would tear through the metal, the living metal of the Canoptech Doomstalker. So let's see what happens. I save all 3. Necrons! Thanks to total obliteration, the Eradicators get a second shot at the Doomstalker. Next, let's see if they can wound the Eradicator. They need freeze. They wound twice. And let's see with my 4-up and vulnerable save, let's see if that works. So we're going to take D6 damage. Take 5 points of damage. The Hellblasters carrying their assault plasma incinerators are going to unleash all their power at the Wraiths to try and cause 2 damage each. Let's see what happens. Could be risky.
Time this, Mr. Denny. Tell them to load and fire in their own time.
Load and fire in your own time. Load!
So we have 15 supercharged shots from 5 Hellblasters carrying assault plasma incinerators. They are within the aura of Gravis Captain Aurelius and his Lieutenant Claudius. So that means they're going to have a reroll of 1, a reroll on 1s to hit and 1s to wound. Ideally, I need these Hellblasters to cause maximum damage to the Wraiths to remove them. So, let's see what happens. Freeze to hit. Some rerolls there. That's not bad going. Move that one. Okay, let's do those rerolls. Same theory. Let's change the dice. Okay, because these could kill. Nobody dies, so they've all hit, all 15 of them. They are strength 7 against toughness 5. We need freeze. Okay, so we can re-roll those. I need to remove those 2. At this range, I'm hoping they're going to be effective. Let's see, re-roll these. Okay, so in total we've got 3, 6, 9, 12 wounds to save a 4-up because the AP is -4. Crikey. Due to their Wraith form, they've got a 4-up invulnerable save. So we need as many of these as possible. See how many we save. Okay, so we saved half of them. These cause 2 damage each. So that's 1 dead because one's already wounded on 2. That kills another. So that's 2 dead now. That one is 3 dead. And this one here is wounded on 1 wound. Like beetles falling on their back, these Wraiths are waiting to see if a reanimation roll can be made, because we have the second squad of Hellblasters next to fire. We have 5 Hellblasters carrying plasma incinerators, which are going to rapid fire. They are supercharging their weapons, so they are strength 8, -4, causing 2 damage. The risk here is that they're out of aura range, so any 1s will kill them. However, those Wraiths need to be removed before they get the opportunity to reanimate. So, let's do it. So 2 die. However, we have hit 8 times. We need 3s to wound. Okay, so we're wounded 5 times. We've got to make 5 4 ups. We make 2. So that kills 1. That one kills one which was wounded. And that kills another, leaving 1 left. Valiant is going to split fire. It's going to fire its melters at that remaining Wraith, and it's going to fire its twin las Talon. Why can't it just be called a las cannon? At the Void Dragon. We're going to start with the multi-melters. It isn't at half range, so let's see what happens. Needs freeze to hit. Hits all 3 times. Strength 8. Strength 8, yes. Against toughness 6, it needs freeze. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Fails with 3 of them. This is where you use Scryer's Gaze to re-roll 1 of the dice. Change the dice, Gary. Might be just be superstition. Let's see. So it now wounds twice. These are going to cause D6 damage each. So I need 2 4-ups from the Wraith form. Invulnerable save. Let's see what happens. I save 1. I am going to use a command reroll for that one. Same principle. Move it to one side. Showing your Catholic superstition here, Gary. Let's see what happens. That one goes through. Okay, damage. Let's see, it could still be alive. And it is still alive. However, I haven't used a command reroll in the shooting phase yet. So I'm going to reroll the damage. This is when you should do it. Let's see. Again, it is still alive on 2 wounds. So the twin las Talon gets 4 hits at the Void Dragon. Remember, you can only do 3 damage per phase. So let's see what happens. It took 2 damage from Smite. Freeze to hit. So it's hit all 3 times. This is strength 9 against toughness 7. So we need freeze. Wounds twice. So we're going to need 4s with Necrodermis. 1 of them goes through. Okay. Causing 5 wounds, but it can only cause 3 damage, so it's free. We've got some tricky decisions to make now for the Ultramarines. We now know that the Void Dragon, even when it's charged, cannot be killed this turn. So the Redemptor Dreadnought is going to try and kill this remaining Wraith, and that will then leave this Redemptor to target one of the Doomstalkers, which so far remain unhurt. We will then concentrate on the right flank to see how many of the Tomb Blades survive. And my backup, if the Redemptor Dreadnought fails, is going to be these intercessors here. We'll try and pick off this Wraith. With the Wraith wounded already, I'm not going to attempt to have it on supercharge the macro plasma incinerator from the Redemptor Dreadnought. So it gets D6, heavy D6 hits, 2 hits, 2 potential hits anyway. It's still on its top bracket, so it needs freeze to hit. Hits once. It's going to be strength 8 against toughness 5. We need 3. Wounds again. Let's see if this Wraith can survive. So after all that shooting, the Wraiths are now destroyed. That leaves the Void Dragon in a bit of a predicament. I don't think, to be honest with you, this godly figure, albeit in its shattered form, will pay attention to the danger that it's in. But it'd be interesting to see how long it survives. So the Redemptor Dreadnought is going to use its macro plasma incinerator, supercharging it. It's going to supercharge its macro plasma incinerator. Crikey, Games Workshop. Could we just have one adjective to describe the noun? But anyway, let's move on. Okay. So heavy D6, so it gets 5 shots. It is in aura range, so we'll be protected slightly from the effects of plasma. Let's see. Okay, so reroll. That one misses. So 4 hits so far. We need freeze to wound. Can reroll the 1. So we've got 3 wounds. These are -4, so it's going to be its containment field. Let's see what happens. And it saves all 3 of them, sorry, with a 4 up. Crikey. These Doomstalkers are doing well today. Should have declared it but didn't, but since I'm playing myself, not with myself, I may add, crikey, steady. Wrong video channel for that. I'm going to fire my Frag Storm Grenade Launcher at the other squad of 20 Necrons. So 12 hits, and freeze the hit. Okay, so we've got to discard those. We've got 4 ones there. Let's see what happens. Okay, so they all hit. Those ones that I missed with. So these are strength 4 against toughness 4. We need 4s. Okay, can we roll those? But that didn't help. So that is 7 saves at no AP. So 7 4-ups. Or some of these Necrons are going to fall over. Necron Warriors are going to fall over. So quite a few fall. So 5 fall to the ground so far. Onslaught Gatling Cannon. So we're going to use that against them as well. So 7 hits. Strength 5, toughness 4, need freeze. Reroll the 1. Okay, so they've all hit and wounded. So these now are -1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dice there. Yep. So I need 5s. Again, another 4 go down. So 9 have fallen to the ground. The Icarus rocket pod against the Doomstalker gets 1 shot, needs a 3 to wound, wounds, no, gets 1 shot, needs a 3 to hit, needs a 3 to wound, wounds, see where we're going here, and the armor save of the Doomstalker is 3 up, so we need a 4 up because it's a -1. That goes through and it causes 2 damage. See if we hit first. We do, with a 6. We need a 2 to wound. We wound with a 6. So it cuts straight through and it does D6 damage. Let's see if we get another 6. We don't. 4 damage taken so far. Great start. The Canoptech Reanimate has 2 wounds left. We now move on using the Land Speeder's Thunderstrike Las Talon. This is heavy 2. It's going to get an additional -1 to its AP because we're in the Devastator Doctrine. So we need 3s to hit. They both hit. We need 3s to wound because it's strength 9. They both wound. They cause D6 damage each. So it's going to be destroyed regardless. Let's see. Well, with 40 might be more than that. So in total, it's taken 3 damage. In total with the last shots, 7. Does it explode? Because the Canoptech Reanimate has been destroyed and has exploded, this warrior here takes a mortal wound, as does the Ghost Ark at the back, but because of living metal will heal, and the Royal Warden 2 has taken a wound. Half the unit are down on the ground. Let's see how many reanimate. We no longer get +1 on the dice because the Canoptech Reanimate has been destroyed. So we need 5 and 6s. We can re-roll 1s because our number is Legion. So far we've saved out of the 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 die. Let's see what happens here with these. And in total, so 7 get back up. Necrons. The long charge. Redemptor Dreadnought running into the Tomb Blades and Warriors. Let's see what happens. The long charge of the Redemptor Dreadnought into the Tomb Blades and Warriors. I am going to re-roll the 1. Yes, makes it. I refuse to roll individual charges for the character models and Blade Guard units. They are one command squad. Narratively, that makes sense in my head. So there's going to be 1 charge to make into the Wraiths. Let's see what happens. The command squad into the Wraiths. Make it. The Redemptor Dreadnought charging into the Void Dragon. Does it make it? The Redemptor Dreadnought into the Void Dragon. Oh, let's re-roll that one. Let's see. Yep, in. So the Redemptor Dreadnought has charged the Void Dragon rather than the Blade Guard. The Blade Guard are going to find it harder to wound the Void Dragon, and despite their number of attacks, they're only going to cause 3 wounds. The Void Dragon will survive this combat phase because the Shattered God has 4 wounds left. It is a risk for the Redemptor because a Void Dragon specialises in matter absorption when destroying vehicles. So there is a possibility that Void Dragon may regain some wounds if it is able to destroy the Redemptor. The Redemptor has only taken 1 wound so far. So let's see what happens. Redemptor needs freeze to hit. Okay, hits 3 times. It is double his strength. So his strength 14 against toughness 7. It's going to need 2s. Okay, so it's wounded twice. Necrodermis save. Let's see what happens. And saves both. Damn. The Blade Guard Sergeant and 2 of the Blade Guard veterans are in combat. They need freeze to hit. Okay, so because of Litanies of Hate, they are within Primaris Chaplain Drassus' aura. They can reroll those 2. So everybody is hit. We have a possibility of wounding the Wraiths 10 times with their master crafted power swords, which really I want to call gladiuses because of the Ultramarines' link to Roman culture. So let's see what happens with their master crafted gladiuses. They're +1 to hit. They're +1 to on the strength. So they're strength 5 against toughness 4. Toughness 5. Sorry, they need 4s. Now we have a lieutenant there. His name escapes me at the moment. My apologies. The cognitive overload. Let's see if we can get those wounds in. So in total we have wounded 7 times at -3. The Wraiths have a 4-up invulnerable save, and these gladiuses cause 2 damage each. So we need to make 7 Wraith form saves. Every 2 is going to kill a Wraith. So let's see what happens. I wish I didn't say that. So 2 Wraiths have been killed so far. The Blade Guard have killed for now 2 of the Wraiths, who may get an opportunity to reanimate at the end of the combat phase. Now I have dropped 2 of the Wraiths who the Blade Guard were fighting, and in doing so, that brings the combat phase for Tigerius and the Chaplain to an end, because their opponent is now on the floor, dropped to the floor, dead, deactivated, you could say. So we're going to move on to the Primaris Lieutenant, who's going to attempt to take out that Wraith. So the Wraiths are not going to pay to interrupt. There's no point, because these back 2 Wraiths can focus their attacks on that remaining infiltrator. The Blade Guard were inspired by Primaris Chaplain Drassus' oratory. So let's see if his words had the same effect on the Primaris Lieutenant, who has 4 attacks. We'll be using his master-crafted power sword, but I'm calling it a master-crafted gladius. So let's see what happens. 2s to hit. Reroll Litanies of Hate. So strength 5, toughness 5, need 4s. Okay, so 3 have wounded. Let's see if the Wraith form saves this Wraith. Let's see if its Wraith. Let's see if its Wraith form saves it. It does with 1, but unfortunately it fails with 2. So that Wraith drops to the floor. So the Redemptor Dreadnought, which has taken 6 wounds so far, is still in its top bracket, gets 4 attacks, using its Redemptor Power Fist, Redemptor Fist, sorry. So it's going to hit 3 times at the Tomb Blades and once at the warrior that it's tagged. So let's do the warrior first. Needs a 3 to hit. Doesn't hit him. Them, they. Which pronoun to use really for a Necron? Them and their, really. I think that's probably better. Okay, right. Now we've got that cleared up. Let's move on. So needs 3s to hit. So the Tomb Blades are hit. It's going to need 2s to wound them. Wounds 3 times, causing 3 of them to deactivate. Now because it's going to be +3, they've only got 2 wounds each. I'll roll it for the sake of rolling the damage. So 4, 6, 4. So 3 of those Tomb Blades have deactivated and crashed to the ground. So we move on to the Void Dragon. We're going to use its Canoptic Blades first. It gets D6 attacks with these. Now remember, the Redemptor Dreadnought has Duty Eternal, which reduces damage by 1, but because these are only 1 damage each, it won't be able to do that this time. So it gets D6 attacks with this. So it gets 4 chances to use these blades to cut through the circuitry of that Redemptor Dreadnought. So we need 2s to hit. 3 of them. We now need 5 and 6s to wound because it's strength 6 against toughness 7. No wounds taken. We then move on to the spear carried by the Void Dragon. Now rather than being D6 damage, this is D3 plus 3 damage because it's a vehicle. The wielder, the Void Dragon, gets +3 to its strength, so it's strength 9 as well. But we've got to roll to hit first, Gary, so 2s. I am going to re-roll that one. Okay, now we need 3s to wound. So, altogether, we've got 4 wounds. It goes straight through the armour of the Redemptor at -4, and they would cause D3 plus 3 damage each. So I'll roll them individually. So we get 4 damage for that one. 2, 5 damage for that one. 5 damage for that one. And 5 damage for that one. So in total, the Void Dragon has caused 5, 10, 15, 19 points of damage. Duty Eternal, we reduce each attack by 1. So we've got 3, 4, over 4, and 4. So in total we did 4, 8, 12, 15 points of damage to that Dreadnought. Does the Dreadnought explode? No, it doesn't. See if the Void Dragon absorbs some of the matter from the Redemptor, which it's just destroyed. It does. It gets 1 wound back, putting it on 5 wounds. The Wraiths have killed the remaining infiltrator. We've got to see now how many of the Wraiths reanimate. In some respects, it doesn't really matter because they will be able to leave combat due to their Wraith form, and if they do not reanimate, it would mean that some of the character models, like the chaplain here, Chaplain Drasus, I'm going to keep saying Primaris Chaplain Drasus, would be in range of the Doomstalker there and cause significant damage to them. But let's see what happens with the reanimation. Okay, so let's see how many the Wraiths stand up. One of them stands back up. The other two are dead. With the Ultramarines and the Void Dragon making their consolidation moves, we now move into the Necrons' turn 2. Let's see what this Lord has planned. Do Shattered Star Gods fear death? Let's see what happens in turn 2 as the Ultramarines advance towards their objectives. Necromancer is going to regenerate D3 destroyed Necron warriors. With the squad only losing 2 warriors, a 3 or better will bring that unit, that immovable phalanx, back to full strength. Let's see what happens. The semi-sentient skin called Living Metal has healed the Doomstalkers. Unfortunately, the Necron Lord is out of range to use any command protocols. Maybe that was by design, because it's not all bad news. The Royal Warden is going to use adaptive strategy so that the Necron warriors can leave combat. They are also going to use the command protocol called Relentless March so that they get an extra inch of movement. That's really going to be important, because the middle ground of the board is vulnerable right now. Those Doomstalkers aren't designed to hold the line. So we need that squad of Necron warriors to be moving and even possibly advancing into the middle of the board. 2 Ghost Arcs, which are carrying 10 warriors each, will disembark to fill that space that these warriors here are going to vacate. So looking at the battle board, there is a problem for the Necrons. Where the Doomstalkers are situated, there isn't an immovable phalanx of warriors in front of them. That's a danger for the Necrons in turn 2, because now that the Ultramarines have pretty much destroyed the forward lines of the Necrons, they're going to be able to continue their advance forward to seize and capture the pylon technology inside these Necron constructs. So, turn 2 for the Necrons is about consolidating the middle ground of the board so that they can hold the back objective and try their best to withstand the Imperial firepower of the Ultramarines to thwart any attempt to go any further than this pylon. So let's see what happens. The reason why I asked you whether Shattered Star Gods fear death is because the Void Dragon is surrounded by the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines in their turn too are going to continue their advance forward to seize the Necron technology, which they want to retrofit and place within their battle barges to make it easier to travel through the warp without the predations within it causing them harm. It's a vital mission. It would enable their Primarch to continue his strategy without the fear of losing Primaris Marines in transit. But for the Void Dragon, that doesn't really matter. I've got to feed the Star Dragon a vehicle in order to keep them alive a little bit longer. So let's see what happens. As you can see, that went better than expected. The Necron warriors have left combat and advanced into the middle of the board. Reinforcements from the Ghost Arcs have placed Necron warriors in strategic positions to protect the back objective. Scorpec destroyers are going to stay with their lord and bide their time, waiting for the perfect moment to use the transdimensional technology the Necrons are so famous for, to place themselves in the optimal position. Now the Wraiths haven't left combat. I've decided to leave them exactly where they are. Now, that might be a mistake, but narratively, they are in the thick of a battle. They are automatons. They are chronoptic constructs that do not. The Void Dragon has raised one of its imperious hands, and an awful sound builds and erupts into a sudden and ferocious storm of emerald lightning to annihilate all that it touches. So I'm using Photic Storm onto the Grav Battle tank. So we need a 3+ to activate the power. Let's see what happens. Oh no, actually a 2+. Very good. So that's activated. It causes, rather than D3 mortal wounds, D6 mortal wounds. I am going to re-roll that. Damage is king for re-rolling. So the grav tank has taken 5 mortal wounds. I'm going to mesmerise the Intercessors again with those savagely beautiful spears of coruscating light, which are going to plummet from the sky onto their battle armour, and in doing so, like falling stars, like meteors hitting the ground with a great impact, I'm going to try and cause some mortal wounds. So the Intercessors have 5 in their unit, so I need to roll below that. I do. Unfortunately, I don't have a Tesseract Vault on the table. I do have one, but not on the table. It's still asleep in its battle foam case. So I'm going to roll D3 mortal wounds. And I cause 2 mortal wounds, killing an Intercessor. So we need to roll below a 3. Let's see what happens. Yep, that goes off for D3 mortal wounds. Yes, that did kill an Eradicator with 3 mortal wounds. I'm now going on to the Hellblasters. So I need to roll less than 5 on the dice. I do. D3 mortal wounds, causing 3 mortal wounds, killing 1 and wounding another. The Doomstalker, using its energy beam at full strength, is going to try and annihilate that ATV invader. The ATV invader, aka the buggy with an assault cannon, is behind a rock formation. It can be seen by the Doomstalker, but it's going to be -1 to hit. So we're going to start with the Gore Slayer. We need 5s. Neither of them hit. That's why I'm going to need that heavy D6 to be a high number to at least try and hit it once. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want those warriors to survive as long as possible. Yes, they do have a Canoptic Reanimator with them that's radiating beams to bind armour back together again, but ideally I would like that to be destroyed. So let's see how many I get. So I get 6 shots. That's good. But I'm going to need 5s. So possibly 2. 2 might hit. Let's see. 1 hit. Okay. So it is strength 10. It's going to be 2s to wound. I am going to re-roll. Early for a re-roll, but oh well. Yep. So it has wounded. It cuts straight through the armour. Even with cover, that's still going to be, it would be -5. It's going to be -4. So go straight through for D6 damage for 4. So with 16 hits, we're going to need 4s to wound because the weapon is strength 5 and the buggy is toughness 5. So in total, we cause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 wounds. Now, if you were a Necron player from 7th edition, you would have thought, hey, Gores cause on 6s cause glancing hits, and that would have killed that buggy, but it doesn't work like that anymore, unfortunately. So at -2 AP, we're going to need 10 5-ups. Hopefully we will destroy that buggy with an assault cannon on top. Okay, so it saved 3, 4, 5 go through, and thanks to the single shot from the Doomstalker, has killed the buggy. The buggy has been destroyed. Does it explode? Possibly. It may explode. It's not going to... what's the range of the explosion? Oh, possibly. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Yes, it does explode. So let's see if the intercessors, who have already suffered mortal wounds this turn, are in range of the exploding ATV. Yes, they are. So they receive, I believe, 1 mortal wound. As you can see, Primaris Chaplain Drassus, who is no longer in combat, is in perfect line of sight to the Doomstalker. So let's do that next at full strength. So with the Gauze Flayers missing, we now move on to the Doomsday Blaster at Primaris Chaplain Drassus. It's heavy D6, so let's see. Let's get 3 shots. Oh dear. Gonna need 4s to hit. Only hit once. It is a 2 to wound. It does wound. These are -5, so the chaplain needs to use his Rosarius to see if he can save it. Let's see what happens. He doesn't, so he has 5 wounds in total. Let's see what happens. So he's now down to 2 wounds. 4 shots in total, so we need 4s to hit. So we hit with 3 of them. We're going to need 3s to wound because it's strength 10, toughness 7. We wound with 2 of them. They go straight through the armour of the Redemptor Dreadnought at -5. The damage will be reduced by 1 because of Eternal Duty. So, the first one causes 4 damage. The second one causes 3 damage, destroying the Redemptor. I don't want it to blow up because of its close proximity to the Necron warriors. With the Gladiator Valiant having 7 wounds left, the Void Dragon for now is going to turn its attention to these Primaris bikers. The reason why I want to do that is because the Void Dragon's spear creates a single line of energy which will hit the Eradicator as well as the Intercessor to reach the biker at the back. So in one attack, I have the possibility of taking out another Eradicator, another Intercessor, and a biker, which will enable me to regain another wound. The Void Dragon needs a 2 to hit. Hits. Before we resolve the damage to the biker, the beam of energy hits the Eradicator first. So it is strength 9 against toughness 5, so we need a 3 to wound. Wounds, it is -4, so it cuts through the armor, the Gravis armor of the Eradicator, causing D6 damage, killing the Eradicator. The beam of light then continues. Beam of light, the beam of energy continues. I would imagine it's like antimatter energy, isn't it, really? I would imagine. Continues and hits the Intercessor. The Intercessor is only toughness 4, so we need a 2 to wound. Wounds. Cut straight through the armor. Needs 3 or better, a 2 or better to kill that Intercessor. The Intercessor is dead. The beam of energy continues and hits the biker. The beam of energy, having cut through the Eradicator and the Intercessor, now hits the Outrider, the Primaris biker. So it needs a 3 to wound. Wounds. It causes D3 plus 3 because it's a vehicle, and destroys it with 6 wounds because the AP is far greater than the Outrider's armor. Now we've reached the end of the shooting phase. On a 2+, the Void Dragon will regain a wound, and does so. We now move into the charge phase, where the Ophidian destroyers are going to charge the heavy intercessors and the intercessor unit in front of them. Ophidian destroyers, they are in with 11. Go Necrons, woohoo! It's vital that those heavy intercessors fighting against the Ophidian destroyers survive. So we're going to use transhuman physiology to make it harder for them to wound. We're going to start with the 2 destroyers carrying their hyperphase reap blades. So let's do those first. So they need 3s to hit. Okay, so 4 of hit. They are strength 6 against toughness 5. We're going to need 3s. So 3 wounds have been successful because of 4 up with transhuman. So they are at -4 and they do 3 damage each. So 3 of the intercessors, the heavy intercessors, are dead. I'm now going to do the Ophidian claws. It makes 2 additional attacks each with those. Okay, so we need 3s to hit. Okay, only 2 of them. We are going to need a 5 to wound with these. No wounds. So we have 2 Ophidian destroyers using their hyperphase freshers at the remaining heavy intercessors. So we need 3s to hit, all but 1. These are strength 4, so I'm going to need 5s. Only 1 of them, crikey. And it's -3, so we need a 6 to save that. We don't, they take 2 damage. Okay, so 1 is on 1 wound. Now then we go on to doing the Ophidian claws. They get 2 additional attacks with those against the heavy intercessors. Let's see. Hit twice, we need 5s. 1 wound, and that will be a 4 up. So that heavy intercessor takes another wound. And then we have the 2 Orphidian destroyers against the intercessor squad, the 2 remaining intercessors. So we need freeze to hit. That's all of them. We're going to need force to wound. 5 wounds at -3, so we need 5 6s. Ouch. The intercessors are dead. The Void Dragon gets 5 attacks against a Valiant Graph tank. It's already taken 5 points of damage. It will be hitting the Grav tank with its Void Dragon Spear, which gives the Star God a +3 strength. It's going to need it because the Grav tank is toughness 8. And the Spear will be hitting the tank at strength 9. But we need 2s to hit first. So we hit all 5 times. We now need freeze to wound. We've wounded all 5 times. So that's already 15 damage because of the +3. But let's see. So D3 +3, so that's 5. 11. 14. 19. 23 points of damage taken. I hope this Grav tank explodes. Unfortunately, the Blade Guard failed to cause any damage in the shooting phase with their Volkite pistols. They're going to have to rely on their master-crafted gladiuses to deactivate these mindless chronoptic constructs. We have 5 of the Blade Guard in combat this time. The Sergeant and 4 veterans. They're going to need freeze to hit. We are going to use Gene Wart Might. So any model that makes a hit roll of 6 automatically wounds. Let's see what happens. Freeze to hit. We can re-roll the 1s thanks to Gravis Captain Aurelius. We can re-roll the 2 thanks to Primaris Chaplain Drassus. So we've got those re-rolls to do. We've got 2 automatic wounds already. Let's see if we can get some more. Unfortunately not. These are +1 strength, so they're going to be wounding on 4s. Strength 5 against toughness 5. So in total, we have caused 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wounds. These attacks are AP -3, so we're going to have to rely on the Wraith form to save them. But before we do move on, I feel sorry for the Blade Guard veterans this week. With the release of the Lion and the Lion's Guard, there's been lots of criticism at GW for not making them look more like Dark Angels. However, having played the game for such a long time, I think GW should be commended for having models for every unit in their codexes. Back in 2nd and 3rd, and maybe even 4th, there were units that you could play but didn't have a model to represent them. So this gives you an opportunity to do some converting, to make the Blade Guard your own, either using GW bits or third-party bits. Get building. See it as an opportunity to make your army look different. So, soapbox over. Let's see if we can make those saves. Oh my, I really wish I didn't say anything now. So, these cause 2 damage each. So that, for every 2, it's going to kill 1 Wraith. Dead. Dead. Dead for now. So we've got 3 dropping to the floor. That brings the combat to an end because the Blade Guard have savagely deactivated Lieutenant Claudius's opponent. We now need to do the reanimation roll to see how many of the Wraiths stand up, if any. This could be vital because the combat has ended as well for the back Wraith. Therefore, if none of them get up, it will mean that the Blade Guard are no longer in combat. And I don't think this is over yet. I think there is a good opportunity for the infantry of the Ultramarines to press on into the warriors. Let's see what happens. You would hope that at least one of the Wraiths will stand back up. Let's see what happens. Yes, they do. Couldn't see that 6 there. So 1 Wraith stands back up, 2 are dead. With the end of the Necron turn 2, we now move on to the Ultramarines. Let's see how they respond to the Necron living wall in front of them. We enter the command phase where an orbital bombardment is going to happen. It's been ordered by Gravis Captain Aurelius in the first turn. So Guilliman's Fury has entered a high orbit above the battlefield and is ready to unleash that bombardment at this point here and this point here. It's significant here because the Necron warriors are only 3 inches away from the centre of the board, so there'll be a +1 on the dice roll. It's also significant here and here because this is going to be where the Ultramarines focus their attacks in this turn. So, the Necron warriors in the middle of the board. Let's see what happens. It's +1, so it's going to be D6 mortal wounds delivered to that unit. For 6. The second unit, see what happens. Again, D6 warriors. Wow. Well done, Guilliman's Fury. Let's see how many get back up. From the unit on the right flank, maybe 1, 2. So let's see how many get back up. I would imagine possibly 2. Correct, so 4 die. Primaris Chaplain Drassus demands more from the Blade Guard and any other units within his aura. So let's see if Litanies of Hate is in play. It isn't. Clearly the chaplain's ability to inspire the Primaris Marines with oratory has been diminished by the wounds taken from the Doomstalker cannon. We enter the movement phase, and lots is going to happen for the Ultramarines. The 2 units in the Imperial fortifications are not going to receive any penalties at all for moving out of them. They are designed for quick response in my head, so therefore those units are not going to receive a penalty for leaving those fortifications. The Blade Guard are going to fall back and re-engage using a stratagem, and the remaining heavy intercessor is going to make a desperate attempt to break free from those Ophidian destroyers who surround him at the moment. Now, the reason why I want to do that is because I want to bring those intercessors into play to take that unit out of play. As stated in the command phase, this is going to be a hot point of the battle, as is the centre of the board here. The Thunderstrike is going to try and eliminate at least one of the Doomstalkers. Destroy or be destroyed. Tigerius is gone to support those intercessors. I was hoping he could get closer to the Void Dragon, but that's not going to happen with Smite. So let's see what happens next as we move into the Psychic phase. Tigerius attempts to look into the future with Scryer's gaze. Yep, goes off with a 10. I'm going to nominate a reroll to hit, wound and damage. I'm also going to cast Smite at the Ophidian destroyers. It goes off with a 6. The 2 units of intercessors there, as well as the bikers, have caused 8 of the warriors to drop to the ground. That concludes the shooting against that unit for now. We'll do reanimation rolls at the end of the phase. So the Doomstalker has taken 4 points of damage, having regenerated 1 point using living metal at the start of its command phase in turn 2. The Eradicator will use Total Obliteration to fire twice, but we have to resolve them separately. So the first one, we need a 3 to hit. Misses. I am going to re-roll. Hits. Need a 3 to wound. Saves that one. Let's move on to the next one. Hits. Wounds. Does it save? Yes, it does. So unfortunately, both of those shots did nothing. Because the Eradicator failed to damage the Doomstalker, it's going to put the Thunderstrike Landspeeder in a difficult position in turn 3, because it really needed one of those Doomstalkers to be destroyed so that it could split fire in an attempt to destroy at least 2 of them. The Thunderstrike, last Talon, 2 shots, gets 2 hits. Needs 3s to wound, 2 wounds. Can the containment field save the day? It doesn't. These cause D6 damage each. For 9 points of damage. Needs a 3 to wound. Strength 10, toughness 6. Wounds. Containment field. Doesn't save it. It's D6 damage. Let's see how much damage happens here. For 3 points of damage, dropping it to its middle bracket. Remember, to be a Hellblaster, you have to be able to carry your assault plasma incinerator and fire 3 shots a minute. We're going to use those 9 shots to try and eliminate the remaining 2 wraiths on the board. We're going to use our full strength, supercharge them. Risky, but worth it. 3s to hit. Oh dear. 2 die. Strength 7 against toughness 5. We need 3s. Wowzers. That's 6 wounds at -4. So 6 wounds at -4. We're going to need to use our Wraith form to save these. Yep, 6 dice, Gary, that's fine. 4s. Well, we save 4 of them. They cause 2 damage each, so 1 Wraith survives. Remember, to be a Hellblaster, you have to be able to carry your assault plasma incinerator and fire 3 shots a minute. We're going to use those 9 shots to try and eliminate the remaining 2 wraiths on the board. We're going to use our full strength, supercharge them. Risky, but worth it. 3s to hit. Oh dear. 2 die. Strength 7 against toughness 5. We need 3s. Wowzers. That's 6 wounds at -4. So 6 wounds at -4. We're going to need to use our Wraith form to save these. Yep, 6 dice, Gary, that's fine. 4s. Well, we save 4 of them. They cause 2 damage each, so 1 Wraith survives. Like before, the Hellblasters in the Imperial outpost are going to supercharge. Hopefully they don't kill themselves again. Need 3s to hit. 1 dies. 3 hits have been made. They are strength 8 against the Void Dragon, toughness 7. Need 3s. They wound with 1. Let's see if it makes its invulnerable save. It doesn't, so the Void Dragon has 5 wounds left. The Ultramarines have had a very effective round of shooting. Yes, we've still got reanimation rolls to make, but I just want you to see the level of precision they have walked against the wall of living metal. I'm also very, very happy with the Thunderstrike Storm Speeder, who reduced the closest Doomstalker to its bottom bracket and the one furthest away to its middle bracket, making it much harder for those Canoptic constructs to fire next turn. There's still lots to play for. Lots of units haven't entered the battle yet, including the Ultramarine reserves. So we now go into the combat phase, or the charge phase, and of course, let's see what happens. As you can see, it doesn't look much better for the Necron warriors. The Canoptic Doomstalkers, their effectiveness has been weakened too. We now go into the charge phase. Let's see what happens next. We enter the charge phase for the Ultramarines, and they've got to use this phase as another opportunity to advance forward. Every unit is going to try to charge the Necrons that are in front of them. You will see that that living wall of metal has been depleted, thinned. Let's see if these immovable phalanxes at the back prosper better than the mindless automatons in front of them. Now, I know you 9th edition purists are not going to like this, but when the Blade Guard with the character models charged a race, they made a single charge, but now they are splitting off. They are going to make individual charges, so Gravis Captain Aurelius as well as Primaris Chaplain Drassus are going to have to make individual charges now into that unit of Necron warriors. Gravis Captain Aurelius. I'm not sure he's going to make it with us. Gravis Captain Aurelius has just rolled a 6. Is he going to be in? Well, that will put him within an inch, so he is just in. Lucky. Gets into combat with Gravis Captain Aurelius. Resoundingly so. Overwatch was attempted by the Necron warriors, and unfortunately they failed to hit. Okay, so what I get? With a 7, I think they'll be in. My holy warriors are not going to have the manoeuvrability of being able to encircle them possibly, but let's see. And they might end up tagging the Canoptek Doomstalker as well. Oh well, means it can't fire next turn, so it's going to happen. So there is Lieutenant Claudius. I've deliberately chosen names of Roman emperors, considering that the iconography of the Ultramarines is predominantly influenced by Roman and Greek culture. I figured it made sense to do so. I'm going to push him right round to there. I know I'm not into the models, I don't play tournaments, I don't care. Narratively, that looks cool. You don't need prescience to understand what's going to happen next. With the Blade Guard making it into combat with the remaining warriors of this phalanx, they're going to have an opportunity, I think, to break through the broken archway and maybe face Overlord Namar and his Skorpek warriors. Let's see if my prediction comes true. This was 2 squads of intercessors now led by a single sergeant, so they will make a single charge into these Necron warriors. The intercessors, who have now joined together with one of their remaining sergeants to make a squad of 6, are going to charge into the Necron warriors on the right hand side. With a 7, they just might make it. Let's see. So they have a 7-inch charge. Let's see if they make it. They do. Quite comfortably. The Outriders have a 5-inch charge, and they do not make it into combat. I'm not going to re-roll that because I want to have a long charge with the Hellblasters into the remaining Wraith to clear this middle area. These remaining Hellblasters who are going to make a long charge into Targarius, and the intercessors will make individual charges into the Ophidian destroyers. Did Targarius predict that he would be in combat with the Ophidian destroyers? Let's see. With a 10, he did. What about the intercessors? No. With Targarius charging the Ophidian destroyers on his own, I think that's where I've got to start. Just a quick apology there. I rolled the Ultramarine charges with Necron dice. I didn't mean to show any bias towards the Ultramarines or any disrespect to any Necron players. Let's see if Targarius can hit these Ophidian destroyers. He needs freeze to hit. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Necron players, you've had the last laugh. There you are. That's justice. Justice. Oh, 1 hit. 3 to wound. And it doesn't even wound. I am not going to re-roll that either. The Necron warriors facing Aurelius and Drasus are going to pay to interrupt. They're going to use disruption fields as well to increase the aura of negative energy which surrounds their armor, so that they are going to be of equal strength to Aurelius's toughness and be 1 point stronger than the toughness of Drasus. So they'll need 4s to wound if they hit Aurelius, and they'll only need 3s to wound against the chaplain. I'm splitting this like I did with Overwatch, which was unsuccessful. Let's see what happens. So these are against Aurelius first. We need 3s to hit. Okay, 3 of them. 4s to wound. But it's paid off twice. Let's see if the Gravis Captain can make 2 3-ups. He can. Let's move on to the warriors facing Drasus. 3 of them hit. Only 1 wound. Made sense to try using that stratagem. It doesn't always work out. And he saves. The Gravis Captain gets 5 attacks using his mastercrafted Gladius. He needs 2s to hit. Hits with all 5. Now needs its +1 strength, so he needs 3s to wound. 3 wounds. These are -3, so 3 Necrons fall to the floor. I certainly think Aurelius and Drasus have bitten off more than they could chew there, really. The likelihood is that some of those Necron warriors are going to get back up, and that might mean that those 2 character models are stuck in combat for the foreseeable future, unless they want to use their Ultramarine trait of falling back. I don't know if that would be narratively correct to do so. We now move on to the Blade Guard. So as you can see, we have the Veteran Sergeant and 4 of the Blade Guard fighting the warriors. Then we have the remaining Blade Guard veteran fighting the Royal Warden. So we'll leave those to one side and I'll resolve those in a moment. Let's see how successful their attacks are. They need 3s to hit. They are in range of their captain, so they can reroll those 2. Neither. Their gladiuses are +1 strength, so 3s to wound. Because of Claudius, they can reroll that. So in total, they have wounded the warriors 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 times. These are -3, so that unit falls to the ground and will not have an opportunity to reanimate. intercessors have hit a wall of living metal, which will grow in number. The Blade Guard continue their relentless march towards their final objective set by their Primarch, Rubute Gilliman. The character models have been very lackluster in turn 2 of the Ultramarines combat phase. Tigerius, despite his ability to foresee the future, did not recognise his end. And the Void Dragon is very much still alive and will regain one of the wounds it lost from the Hellblasters. Let's go into turn 3 of this battle to eradicate the Imperium threat to the Finite Confederacy's home world. Overlord Namar of the Finite Confederacy orders these Necron warriors to relentlessly march forward and advance to fill the gap created by the Ultramarines' advance. Overlord Namar orders the Skorpek warriors of the Destroyer cult to do his will and engage the Blade Guard veterans in the archway towards their ancestral home. Battle Barge will repair D3 warriors. D3 warriors repaired by the Ghost Ark to come back, bringing that unit back to full strength. The Technomancer will regenerate, will resurrect D3 warriors to increase this wall of living metal. From the Technomancer, D3, 1 comes back. Despite living metal repairing the damage caused by the land speeder Thunderstrike, they stay in the bracket that the speeder put them in. The Void Dragon has 2 Outrider bikers that it could consume, and narratively will head towards them in the movement phase. To maximise the ability of the Skorpek destroyers, this middle Doomstalker will leave combat and prey on these intercessors who, if they don't die in this battle, will certainly feel the wrath of their Primarch. Because I need these Ophidian destroyers to make a U-turn towards Gravis Captain Aurelius and Primaris Chaplain Drasus, we're going to use the stratagem Swift Dismemberment so that they can advance and charge these characters. The warriors ordered to relentlessly march forward are going to advance 5 inches. The Ophidian destroyers do not care in which direction they move in. They are ready to swiftly dismember Aurelius and Drasus. The Skorpack destroyers activate their algorithms to annihilate these Blade Guard veterans. The living wall continues to hold back the intercessors, and the Void Dragon is ready to finish off the Outriders. And the Tomb Blades will weaken these intercessors to prevent them from capturing the middle objective. Let's see what happens. Biker beware. The powers of the Catan are behind you. The Void Dragon raises its Imperious hand and unleashes a sonic boom of emerald lightning, which hits the back Outrider to annihilate it. Goes off, D6 damage because it's a vehicle. Unfortunately, that Outrider is dead. Molecular disintegration emitters have been activated within the Gauze weaponry of the Tomb Blades. They're going to attempt to annihilate the 5-man squad of intercessors. 20 shots with their Gauze blasters, 6 is automatically wound. So we've got 3 automatic wounds, let's put them to one side. A substantial amount of misses. Or 4 automatic wounds, beg your pardon. So we now need strength 5 against toughness 4, we need freeze. Okay, so in total, these are -2. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 saves to make. Right. I was thinking perhaps I should have used transhuman physiology there, but oh well. Didn't. They don't deserve it anyway. So they need 5s. AP -2. These cause 1 damage each. So 1 dead intercessor, 2, 3, 4, and 1 left on 1 wound. Due to being in their middle or bottom bracket, Doomstalkers failed to hit the Storm Speeder. The Doomstalker which left combat did kill that final intercessor left by the Tomb Blades. And the Void Dragon, although unable to feed from the last Outrider due to godly indigestion, has annihilated that squad. We now move on to combat, where we have the majority of the Necrons attempting to charge the front lines of the Ultramarines advance. So the Skorpack destroyers and the Lord are going to charge into the Blade Guard. The Skorpack destroyers are in with a 7. Overlord Lamar is in with a 9. The Ophidian destroyers having made their swift movement forward to dismember Aurelius and Drasus, will now execute that plan. The Ophidian destroyers. Yes, that advance was crucial. Crikey. I'm pleased I used that stratagem. Wherever the Ultramarines look, they are surrounded by the bloody constructs of the destroyer cult, as well as the mindless living wall of the Necron warriors. As the Scorpec destroyers charged the Blade Guard and Lieutenant Claudius, their armour began to thrum with an aura of negative energy, giving them a +1 strength. So we're going to start with 2 Scorpec warriors of the destroyer cult at Lieutenant Claudius, who has been wounded by the Doomstalker. We need 3s to hit. Well, that's rather emphatic. Okay, so we've got 6 hits so far. It's theirs, normally would just be their strength of strength 5, but it's going to be strength 6 against toughness 4, so we're going to need 3s. Can't re-roll those, unfortunately. So we've got 3 saves to make of -3. Claudius would normally need a 5 if he was going to use his armor save, because he adds 1 to the dice due to the shield. However, he's going to use his invulnerable save of a 4 up. He needs to save 2 out of 3 of these to survive. Doesn't, unfortunately. Lieutenant Claudius falls to the ground. Feels like a classic comic book cover. Let's see if the onslaught for the Necrons continues. We have 2 more Scorpec destroyers carrying hyperphase freshers. Let's see what happens. Need 3s to hit. +1 on the strength, so strength 5. Strength 6, sorry. Against toughness 4, we need 3s. Ooh, not so good. Not so good. They are -3, so normally they would need 6s with their armour, but because they're carrying a shield it would be 5 up, because they give a +1. However, their invulnerable save on their shield is better, so we need 3 4-ups. We get 2. We then have the 2 remaining Scorpec destroyers carrying their hyperphase reap blades. Let's see if they can sow death, as well as the Ophidian destroyers. They need 3s to hit. They hit 5 times. Now normally these would be +2 strength, taking it to strength 7, an extra +1 because of the stratagem that I've used, disruption fields. So these are strength 8 against toughness 4, we need 2s. So there are 4 wounds. It's going to have to be their invulnerable saves because the AP is -4. So 4 lots of invulnerable saves to make. These cause 3 damage each. So 2 save, the one that's wounded dies, and another veteran dies. Before Overlord Namar gets an opportunity to fight, the Blade Guard are going to interrupt. We have 3 Blade Guard. We're going to use Gene Warp Might to automatically wound on a hit roll of 6. We're also going to use Sons of Gilliman so that they can make a single re-roll of a 1 to hit on an attack, because they're out of range of Gravis Captain Aurelius's aura. So let's make these rolls. We need freeze to hit. Handy. Sons of Gilliman. Re-roll. Fantastic. So these 2 here we discard. They're using their mastercrafted gladiuses, which give them a +1 strength. So they would be normally strength 4, but they are now strength 5 against toughness 5. They need 4s to wound. Shame about Primaris Lieutenant Claudius dying. Would have been very handy here. So 4 wounds of -3. The Scorpec destroyers have a 3-up save, so I've got to make 4 6-up saves. These cause 2 damage each, so there's a possibility of 2 Scorpec destroyers falling to the ground like that. We now have the Blade Guard Veteran Sergeant, who's going to put all his attacks into Overlord Namar. Gets 4 attacks, needs freeze to hit, misses with 1, out of aura range I'm afraid. Sons of Gilliman has been used. Needs strength 4, +1 strength, so strength 5. Against toughness 4 we need freeze. No wounds. Overlord Namar is toughness 5. Remember the motto of the channel: mistakes will be made, but a story is being told. So it doesn't matter anyway, because the still needed freeze to wound, falls to wound. None of those dice would have affected anything. So it's now time for the Overlord to hit the Blade Guard Veteran Sergeant back with his war scythe. So he needs 2s. He hits 4 times. These are +2 strength. So strength 7 against toughness 4, we need freeze. Okay, so we've wounded 3 times. They are -4, so it's got to be the invulnerable save. The Veteran Sergeant needs to save at least 2 of them to survive, and does. Has 1 wound left. I have 6 warriors at Drasus. All hit, need 4s, all wound. These are significant. They are no AP, so he's got 6 free-ups to make. He fails 4 of them, killing him, putting him on -2. The living wall continues to hold the intercessors back. The Blade Guard and the Skullpeck destroyers are in a battle to the death. It's pretty close. The Ophidian destroyers are pretty much ineffective, really. They failed to destroy either character. And the Wraith continues to slaughter the Hellblasters one at a time. While it looks over for the Ultramarines, they've got their reinforcements to enter the battlefield. And while the Necrons are tied up in combat, it will give them an opportunity to seize the objectives. So in the end, I've decided to do something completely different. The Hellblasters have come out of combat. They're going to be able to fire without a penalty at the Doomstalker. The Storm Speeder Thunderstrike will move into a position to carry on firing at the remaining 2 Doomstalkers. The aggressors have positioned themselves here with the view that they will be able to possibly charge the Wraith and eliminate some of the Tomb Blades with help of the 2 intercessors. Now, one of the intercessors was killed firing at the Void Dragon, which I forgot to take off the board. Gravis Captain Aurelius is just going to have to swing a bit harder and hopefully survive. I felt it was just to save a character would mean 10 warriors and 2 Ophidian destroyers are then free to move next turn. I didn't think that was sensible. You live and die by your mistakes in 40k. Nothing I could do here would change the situation for the Ultramarines. It's a tight spot they're in. Using the correct dice this time, the Hellblasters have fell back out of combat with the Wraith. They are now standing on the rock formation right next to the pylon they need to seize for their Primarch. Their Primarch's plan to retrofit his fleet with that technology in order to move through the material without the predations of the warp affecting their ability to reclaim the galaxy in the name of his father. In order to do that, they've got to destroy the Doomstalker in front of them. We've used the stratagem of falling back and re-engaging, so there's no minus to hit. We're also going to use Sons of Guilliman so that one roll of 1 can be re-rolled to try and keep these Hellblasters alive a little bit longer. So we're supercharging. Let's see what happens. We've hit 4 times. Every time I fire this Thunderstrike, I've got the Airwolf music in my head. They do it a bit more manly than I do, but there we are. Okay, so we need freeze to hit. Hit twice. We need freeze to wound because it's strength 9 against toughness 6. Both wounds. This could blow it up, which was something I didn't want to happen, considering where the Hellblasters are. But you know what? I'm going to take the risk. Containment field. How many are deflected? Let's see. First one goes through. Could cause 6 damage and blow it up. The second one. Again. Let's see for drama. First one. 6 damage. Destroys it. Second one. Altogether it's taken 8 damage. It's a -2. This is not looking good for the next. I've lost 4 Tomb Blades. And now I've lost a Doomstalker. Does it blow up? It blows up on a 5 or better. It does blow up. Bugger. D3 against the Hellblasters for 1. Whew, lucky. Very lucky. Let's see against the Skullpeck Destroyers. For 3 mortal wounds, making one of those drop to the ground. Closest one with Threshers. Hyperphase Threshers. Makes sense to me. And I will roll the damage. It is only going to be 1 mortal wound, but that's enough to kill the Sergeant who took 2 wounds in combat against the Overlord, killing him. The Ultramarines wish to press their advantage further by gaining the upper hand in combat after an effective shooting phase. There's no new combats, so we're going to start with the Skullpeck Destroyers, the 2 in combat, fighting the 3 remaining Blade Guard. We may be able to pile in there, let's see. And then we have the Necron Warriors fighting the Captain, Gravis Captain Aurelius, as well as the Ophidian Destroyers. As you can see, those Hellblasters bravely stood up to the Doomstalker. Better than Tom Cruise in War of the Worlds. And these Inceptors have taken the back objective, with only 1 unit of Necron Warriors free to move. The likelihood is that the binary desire of the Finnic Confederacy isn't going to happen. They are going to have to regroup and try again to remove the Ultramarines from their home world. Let's start then with the Skullpeck Warriors of the Destroyer Cult. So the 2 Skullpeck Destroyers in combat get 4 attacks each, 1 additional attack thanks to their Hyperphase Threshers. They have hit 6 times. Really pleased with that. They need freeze to wound. Four wounds. We need the Blade Guard to survive this. Oh, unfortunately not. That they cause 2 damage each, so 2 of them kill 1, another one is on 1 wound. So the remaining blade guard, the 2 blade guard left, 3 attacks each, 3 to hit. They're not in range to reroll, so 4 hits, strength 4 against toughness 5. They're going to need +1 as well because of their mastercrafted gladius, so they're going to need 4s. Nearly forgot. 1 wound. This is minus 3, so we need a 6. And saves. It was vital considering one of those destroyers only has 1 wound. These are desperate times for Gravis Captain Aurelius, who much prefers to fight with his mastercrafted gladius. But because he is surrounded, he's going to start punching using his gauntlet, his bolt storm gauntlet. So these are going to be, you're going to subtract 1 from the hit roll. So let's see what happens. So he misses there, subtract 1, misses there. So 3 hits. These are going, of course, into the Ophidian destroyers. They are double his strength. So they are strength 8 against, I believe, toughness 4. So he needs 2s. 2 wounds at -3. They cut straight through the armor of the Ophidian destroyers. They cause 2 damage each, so 1 of the destroyers falls to the ground, like so. We now have one of the Ophidian destroyers taking on Gravis Captain Aurelius with its Reap Blade. Needs 3, oh crikey, wrong dice, sorry about that. Needs 3s to hit. +2 to its strength, so strength 6 against toughness 5 needs 3s. Both of them are wounded. They are -4, so we're going to need our Iron Halo, our 4-up invulnerable. He saves 1 and takes 3 damage, killing the captain. The Ultramarines did a fantastic job that turn of eradicating many of the threats they prioritised. However, with Gravis Captain Aurelius murdered by the final Ophidian destroyer, it is Overlord Namar who must be the happiest. Well, of course he's alive, but in the sense that he now has 2 units of Necron warriors to do his bidding in turn 4, which may result in the Inceptors as well as the Hellblasters losing their tiny advantage on the board. We also have a Star God still with us, so Overlord Namar is going to use his Resurrection Orb to reanimate one of the Skorpek destroyers. They will rise again. Overlord Namar perfectly understands that the Ultramarines will not be eradicated from his home world, but the entrance to the broken archway which leads to his tomb must be protected at all costs. So his will be done by these Necron warriors, who will relentlessly march towards these Inceptors, and by doing so try to reclaim this objective. They desperately need to enact the will of their Primarch. The rest of the board, he is going to concede. He'll let the Star Guard do as it pleases. In its shattered form, it is no threat to the Necrons. But for now, before that march happens towards this Necron construct, this Necron pylon, the repair protocols of this Ghost Ark are going to bring back at least one of the warriors to that living phalanx. The Doomstalkers regain 1 point. However, they are both still on their bottom bracket. The Reanimator will continue to keep these warriors alive, and of course the Technomancer will try and regenerate some of the warriors. Let's see what happens next in the movement phase. The Ghost Ark successfully repaired the living phalanx back to full strength. They have moved forward, ready to fire at the Inceptors. The other living phalanx has regained another warrior, bringing it back to full strength. They've advanced forward. The remaining Ophidian Destroyer is ready to finish off those Blade Guard who have done so well in this battle. The living wall of Necrons continues to grow thanks to the Technomancer and the Reanimator keeping them alive, and the living God, albeit in a shattered form, has moved forward, ready to activate its powers one last time. Unfortunately, the shooting for the Necrons was largely ineffective, only wounding one of the Inceptors, and the Hellblaster withstood the Spear of the Void Dragon with one wound left. We're going to go on to combat, and the Void Dragon is going to charge the Hellblaster. The Void Dragon will be overkill slightly, but has to be done. As close as I'm going to get him. I'm not going to put him on the actual ceiling just in case it falls. And obviously the Lord got him with a charge of 9. The Overlord needs 2s to hit, hits 4 times. He's using his War Scythe, so it's strength 7 against toughness 5. We need 3s, all 4 of them. They are -4, so they cut right through the armour of the Inceptors. They have 3 wounds each. One's already wounded, so 1 dies. The next 2 kill another, and the final one has 1 wound left. Despite not annihilating the Ultramarines, Overlord Namar has stopped the advance towards his tomb. There will be other battles where the Ultramarines will no doubt try again. From the perspective of the Ultramarines, I think they can be awfully proud of what they achieved in this battle. Time and time again, when you looked at the face of it, you thought the Ultramarines were finished. They served their Primarch with honour today. And will do so again in the next part of Tomb World. Unfortunately, the binary thinking of the Finnic dynasty belonged to a bygone age before their transdimensional slumber. Advances in human physiology and technology, Overlord Namar concluded, were impossible for the race he manufactured on old Earth. Homo sapiens had evolved beyond his initial design as star matter made flesh to be consumed by the Catan. His annihilation of the transhuman invaders on Tomb World had failed. A war of attrition would begin with the full activation of the Finnic dynasty's tomb. Exterminatus wasn't an option. Tomb World's destruction would engulf the fleet in tides of warp energy from the Great Bleed. Losing his sons with the destruction of Tomb World would be no victory. Tactical expediency wasn't the answer. The orbital foothold above Tomb World would provide his sons time to reinforce their positions on the planet. Pylon technology would be seized with the annihilation of the Finnic dynasty.